When you win, what are some of your plans for Kalkaska? What do you foresee us doing?
I foresee working in unison within the municipality, with the DDA, with the library, its expansion.
That's been a real struggle. We've been dealing, the state of Michigan has some latitude with how they spend their allocation. And so we've been dealing with the state of Michigan, trying to get library construction and library renovation included. And we're not quite there, but it's sort of like Railroad Square. You know, the more people say no, the more we look at different opportunities to make it happen.
And I'm convinced we're going to get it done. It's not a question of if, it's maybe still a little bit a question of when, but we've now moved into what's called construction ready mode.
The Friends of the Library have done such a great job raising, over $100,000. I think the number now that they have raised completely is $1,020,000, I believe, is where it was standing.
The rendering for the new library is outstanding.
Yes, it is an opportunity to imagine how these new spaces should work.
It's surprising how many people use the library presently. The numbers that use that library are absolutely scary.
Once we get to the point where the actual blueprints are made, then an interior designer would come in and we'd say, okay, these are our priorities for these spaces. This is how we want it to feel. This is how we want patrons to feel.
It's going to be a different size building. It's only 50 feet deep and about 200 feet long, 200 feet of frontage on Cedar Street, 4 different type bricks. So it looks like 4 old-timey buildings.
Architectural renderings are done, and they just did a new one with the build-out, and they should be presenting those, I would guess, upcoming meetings. Of course, it will go to the board first, and then be presented to the public for input.
It is outstanding. Most people don't realize libraries have evolved too.
The maximum amount of space inside is flexible. I can't tell you how people are going to want to use libraries 20 years from now, 30, 40 years from now.
The goal is 2030, 2040, 2050, and what have we done to support the town for those times that we don't even know for sure what's going to be needed yet, but for sure the library will be the knowledge source that will be necessary. Think about 30 years ago or 40 years ago. What did we have to know then compared to what do we have to know now to be successful? And the differences are staggering.
People go, yeah, nobody reads books anymore. They teach coding, they teach 3D printing, they have IT classes for anyone of any age.
And so we can't just put kids out there and young adults and think that they're going to be just fine with the same kind of knowledge that we provided them with 20 or 30 years ago. We have to be thinking 20 or 30 years into the future.
So forward-thinking design plans.
They have a couple different renderings now, one being this price point and one being, oh, we hope this price point, depending on how funding comes in and what's available for the grants and how much help we can get.
Anytime we can bring dollars in from somewhere else that didn't cost the residents of the county anything, I'm just a huge fan of that. And we have individuals working on this that are just brilliant.
This is the main level, and you have areas for children's services and teen services and adult services. You can put in smart boards so that people can hold a business meeting. All those different uses that happen in libraries nowadays.
We're looking at, in the new library, incubator office spaces.
The upper floor of this plan, meeting spaces, also an outdoor terrace area. So think about outdoor children's programming, outdoor adult programming.
High-speed internet access. They're dialed it right directly into the fiber optic cable.
And also a really nice place, so if Railroad Square has an event, people have a really good vantage point up here for those sorts of things. Watch a parade, just enjoy the summer weather.
The members of the Board of Trustees and John Roberts specifically, who's the director of the library, and his entire staff was incredibly passionate.
It's really nice. In the new plans, you have spaces that can be used for any number of purposes. They can be used for movie screenings, they can be used for large presentations and anything else you can imagine.
The library is a really different world today.
It's not just books anymore, it's Wi-Fi and it's electronic resources and everything under the sun.
We try to make them adaptable, flexible.
When the pandemic happened, there were so many people who were supposed to work from home but didn't have internet access around here. They worked out of the library. There are people who started their businesses in that library.
I mean, there's people, in many cases, some are there for pleasure and for reading, but just as often it's people that are there to meet some need in their life and be able to, actually help them be part of life and have a good life for themselves and their families.
The library got an opportunity to expand public access to Wi-Fi. They applied for a grant and we Wi-Fi'd all of Railroad Square. We could host a huge event downtown and everybody could have internet access.
So we have now reached a final rendition for what the new library will look like. We're going to retain the original stone building portion of the library and we're going to make sure that that's brought up to current standards.
And so that maybe if it was just that little 10% that was really holding back because of that destruction of the old library, even though it really wasn't functional, and that hurts their heart. Now keeping that little portion gets those 10% on board too, and we get the big new library for future use. So I think that would probably be, again, the highest and best way to go.
Yes, and it seems like a waste with all that stonework they've done.
Oh, and it's beautiful, and we did the work to preserve the train station as the museum, so it would seem accurate that the community would want to continue with that preservation and incorporating the new to look classic as well. I think it's a great combination.
Will it still be part of the library and used as a
Yeah, they're speaking of it as a reading room with a little fireplace in it, is what they're talking about.
We're ready to really get serious about funding. We've got a fair amount of funding now. We need a fair amount more. And to be able to do that, we have to be construction ready with our documents. And so that's the phase we're in currently.
It looks like it's good to go. Any idea when the construction will begin?
I don't, and they're just about to go to full phase of the fundraising. The Friends of the Library had to get to a point where they could say they could do like a matching fund.
The DDA and the library partner on a lot of things. And so that's why it's really been a focus of the DDA and the rest of the community to redo the library. So there are a lot of things going on here. Railroad Square and the DDA and the library, and it's all kind of hooked together.
Soon we'll be into the 2030s and the 2040s and the 2050s, and this new library will be serving Kalkaska well into the future, just like the current library has up till now.